Have a meeting come to order. Worthington City Council regular meeting, 5:30 p.m. Monday, August 12th, 2024, City Hall Council Chambers. If I could have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I want to welcome everybody tonight. We have no additions or corrections to the agenda, so we have a move to close the agenda. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We've got, what's that? Yeah. We've got the public hearing portion of Highway 59 reconstruction and jurisdictional transfer, case item 1. Motion to open hearing.
Open the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Hearing presentation, please.
MnDOT is proceeding with plans for the reconstruction of Highway 59 from approximately a half mile north of Interstate 90 all the way to Highway 60. The project includes safety improvements at several intersections, grading and pavement, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, and water main replacement, lighting and sidewalk. This section of Highway 59, just south on Interstate 90 to Highway 60, will be a jurisdictional transfer or turn back to the city of Worthington after construction. Peter Engelmeyer, representative of MnDOT, will present the final layout and answer questions as required by state statute. Peter?
All right, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Engelmeyer. I am a project manager with MnDOT District 7 out of Mankato. And as part of the public hearing, I'll give just about a 10-minute presentation on the project background. In summary, go over municipal consent, what it is and why it's needed for this project. Go over cost estimate, maintenance responsibilities as it applies to the city, and just overall project schedule. So, project location, the project starts about a half mile north of I-90. It goes south along Humiston Avenue, and then east on Oxford Street, and then the project ends on the east end of Oxford Street, just short of the Highway 60 roundabout. And so just kind of high-level project summary. MnDOT's planning to reconstruct Highway 59 from I-90 to Highway 60, so the entire project limits is planning to be reconstructed. Some key project components include 3 roundabouts. So 2 of those roundabouts will be one at each of the I-90 ramp terminals on Humiston Avenue, and then also a roundabout at Ryan's Road. We're planning to replace the signal system at the intersection of Oxford Street and Humiston Avenue. Improve pedestrian facilities, so namely sidewalk that's planning to be put along majority of the corridor on both sides of the roadway. Utility replacement includes storm sewer, and then also working with the city on sanitary and water main replacement along the corridor. Reconstructing the Humiston Avenue frontage road on the east side of Humiston Avenue, and then there will be lighting throughout the corridor. So that's kind of high-level project summary. Another unique component to this project is MnDOT is planning to do a jurisdictional transfer, a turn back to the city of Worthington upon completion of construction. And those limits will be from just south of the eastbound I-90 ramp terminal over to Highway 60. So essentially kind of that in-town portion will be the turn back. Everything from I-90 to the north will remain a state highway. So municipal consent, what is it and why is it needed for this project? So municipal consent is a municipality's approval of MnDOT's final layout for a project on a trunk highway when state statute requires that approval. So essentially it's when MnDOT has a project with a municipality and we meet certain triggers, then we're required to have municipal consent or approval on the project. And this approval is by a resolution passed by the council. So municipal consent, that package or the consent process was kicked off back in June when MnDOT submitted a municipal consent package to the city. That package included the project layout, so the project design. It included a good faith cost estimate with overall project cost, but also city estimated cost responsibilities. And then there was a letter with it that included project purpose and need, background, location, description, and maintenance responsibilities. So essentially this presentation is a summary of that letter in the package. And so MnDOT requires municipal consent when a trunk highway meets one of the following. So whether it alters access, increases or reduces traffic capacity on the highway, or if it requires acquisition of permanent right-of-way. So that can be in the form of fee or some sort of permanent easement. With this project, we're meeting all three of those for municipal consent. So just a couple examples for each one, specifically for the roadway. So the top part of there with the colored layout, we're reducing traffic capacity on Humiston Avenue from I-90 to the north. So existing conditions have Humiston Avenue as a 4-lane roadway. With this project, we're proposing to drop it down to 2 lanes, so 1 lane in each direction. Altering access, that includes primarily closures along Humiston Avenue. So we're planning to close the access from Darling Drive and from the south end of the frontage road to Humiston Avenue. So those are the 2 other pictures. And then we are also planning to acquire right-of-way throughout the corridor. This is just one snip. This is the Ryan's Road intersection, which is planned to become a roundabout. Just showed a couple areas there where we're encroaching into the existing right-of-way, planning to get some permanent right-of-way needs. So again, this is just one example. We'll be getting right-of-way kind of throughout the corridor as needed for construction. And so that's kind of the background of municipal consent. The next part is the cost estimate. So back when MnDOT submitted a municipal consent package in June 14th, we included this cost estimate, and the total project construction cost at that time was about $27.6 million. And then the table here shows the city and the local cost responsibilities at that time. And so kind of the first thing to focus on is the yellow box of about $4.2 million. That is the city total project cost responsibilities for the city sanitary and water main and for improvements made to Darling Drive to bring it up to an MSAS road, so a municipal state aid street. The construction cost for that is about $3.9 million. When you include about $300,000 of construction engineering, that's where you get the $4.2 million. Construction engineering is generally a set percentage based item based off of the construction cost. So we use 8%, and that's for things like in construction, like surveying, inspection, materials testing. There was also a local cost, the green column, for about $890,000, and that is for CSAH 35, so the west leg of the project. There's about a 1-block leg that is CSAH 35, Oxford Street. And that was originally going to be a local cost with the allocation to be determined by the city and the county. And so that's June 14th. When June 26th came along, we received word from the USDOT that MnDOT was awarded a RAISE grant. So it's a federal discretionary grant that MnDOT submitted an application earlier in the year. And so it's great news, both for MnDOT and the community. And one of the components of that application was that MnDOT would include the local cost, so that CSAH 35 construction cost, as part of the RAISE grant funding. So ultimately what that means is that will reduce the local cost participation amount. We're still working with the USDOT and local partners on figuring out exactly what that amounts would be. And that'll be something that as we continue with the project, in those discussions, we'll coordinate with the city and the county on how that all works. So the yellow column for the sanitary and water main and the MSAS improvements, those are intended to remain that city cost. So that's that $4.2 million. Next is city maintenance responsibilities. So this can be split up into two different areas. So one is within the turnback. So I kind of highlighted there the turnback area again, just to kind of make it a little bit easier to see where it is. And so within the turnback, after construction, this portion of Highway 59 is planned to become a city street. Now at that point, it's city owned, it's city maintained and operated. So any maintenance activities, future projects would be a city responsibility. Outside of the turnback, where it remains a state highway, so everything from I-90 to the north. Everything is MnDOT maintenance responsibility, or except for some items. So the main items where it would be city maintenance responsibility are sidewalk and trails, pedestrian facilities. The city would be responsible for things like snow removal, spot panel replacements, cutting grass in the boulevards, things like that. And also any sort of future landscaping that's included in the project. So if there are things like native grasses, plantings, boulevards, or other unique landscaping features, then that would be city responsibility as well. And that's something that as we get further along into the final design here, we'll coordinate with the city and have those conversations on what that looks like, what's included or not included. And finally, just project schedule. So for about the past year and a half, 2 years, we've been working on the preliminary design of the project. So working with the city, county, and community on different alternatives, and ultimately we came up with the preferred alternative last fall, in the fall of 23. This past spring, in the spring of 2024, we completed the preliminary design. And so now we're transitioning from that prelim design with the public hearing, municipal consent process, and going into the final design process from the rest of the summer until the fall of 2026. We currently have a scheduled letting planned for October of 2026, so that's when the project goes out for bid to the contractor, and then that will lead to construction in 2027 and 2028. So it's a 2-year construction process. Tentatively, high-level construction staging is in year 1, 2027. We're planning to construct Humiston Avenue while keeping Oxford Street open to traffic. And then in year 2, we just flip that around, construct Oxford Street and keep the newly constructed Humiston Avenue open for traffic. One of the primary reasons for that is to help reduce the impacts to the community, to the businesses along the corridor, and really just try to focus on where that construction is taking place over that 2-year span. In that winter season between 2027 and 2028, we're planning to open the roadway up and have it be open for the winter months. With that, that is the presentation from a high level, and we will open it up to any questions or comments. So, thank you.
Any questions, testimonies?
When you're doing the, I call it Highway 59, Oxford Street, that's under construction. The police department is located north of the interstate. How are we going to have them get access into town?
That'll be something as because we're at a high level, just getting started on the staging and traffic control for the project. So that'll be something that as we get into that, we'll be communicating closer with police department, EMS, fire and ambulance to, figure out how that will all work, those coordinating needs. So not quite there yet, but that's something that we generally do with every project to help make sure that's facilitated and open. So.
The fire station's got a couple offices that are dedicated to law enforcement as well. Chad?
I'll again put on the record just because I like to do that, because I've
bent their ears plenty of times on different things, but since we're in minute taking and stuff like that, we had a lot of discussions and a lot of talks on the Highway 59 North stuff, on design principles, layouts, things of that sort, where we went over that stuff. We didn't have as much discussion of that sort, near as much on the Oxford Street reconstruction, which will be the following year, and I know there's probably more that can and will come. But I will again put in my pitch for a consideration of a look at the Oxford roundabout on 60 for dedicated right-hand turn on Oxford Street, to take a look at that, just because I want it in the minutes. That's all.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
This is a chance for anybody to speak on this?
Speak up,
Correct.
yes.
Anybody in the audience?
Anybody have any comments, questions? Chad?
If you would, we hear from a lot of people because it's easier to approach us, because we get to say yay or nay on things, and we get to sit through all of the meetings on design, layout, things of that nature. While some people, at least some that are fairly vocal, have hatred for roundabouts and things of that nature, I would like to state that as much as maybe we don't like to say that we love them or understand them, the principles that are put through to look at these designs, you guys have engineered safety studies, layout designs, traffic flow patterns, to look at all kinds of statistics to provide those things to this. It's not just five of us sitting up here saying yay or nay to this. It's input and study and design that has gone into this, opposed to we like it or we don't. Am I correct pretty much in that? I mean, opposed to, we don't get to say, well, we like that a lot better, so let's do that. And then you say, okay, we'll design that for you.
Yeah, so I think kind of, as part of the preliminary design, we did do a lot of alternatives analysis, where, we looked at different alternatives of, all roundabout signals, different intersection types. And as part of that analysis, it included coordination with the city, lots of workshops, council meetings, coordinating with the county on that, and also just public outreach. So, as part of that preliminary design process, we held a couple open houses. I believe we did a online survey with some of that alternatives analysis. And so we really, brought it all together, if you will, to look at all the different alternatives and effects, and ultimately, worked with the city on presenting those options and finding, what is the preferred alternative. So
Many times we get the words, that people don't like brought up in regular topic, like we know what road design is here, sitting in these chairs that make decisions. I don't. So I lean on people who work in that field and have that. Why are there medians here? Why do you do a roundabout here? What is the purpose of it? What does it create for the project? And it is those reasons why we brought up our concerns, our suggestions, our comments that we've heard from public to get that final project put together. And frankly, what some may or may not, when they'll see or hear the story that this comes out of what's going to be done, will say, well, you guys are a bunch of idiots. We should have done this or that. Well, we've had all kinds of public input, presentations, availability for people, and we've heard all of the data, and we did get some of our suggestions and thoughts and concerns addressed and changed, because heck, we could have slapped another roundabout in there. But we brought up enough concern and enough local input of why we felt concerned for those that you guys went back, looked at the data, looked at everything and said, okay, we hear you, we understand that. We can do this or that and adjust these things and make that happen. So this is a little cover your tail speech, but it really is way more than 5 people sitting at a council chambers saying, yay, we like it, or yay, we don't, and this is what we came up with. It's not the case. So, thank you for listening and having these meetings so people can't just point a finger and say, boy, you designed a really cruddy road. And I can say, no, I didn't. I had input in it, but so did you, and here's why these happened. Anybody else have anything?
I know I live on the north side of Oxford Street anyways, and my 2 cents is that it's troublesome to make a left turn from anywhere, like H&H Repair, or I'm on North Douglas, or Douglas anyways, but tried to do a left turn when JBS was getting out from work anyways, and it's continuous traffic, so people have different speeds that they travel, so you end up having to take 2 or 3 deep breaths anyways and wait for an opening anyways. But, yeah, and I get, you know, that it's good to keep the traffic flowing anyways too, you know. And I know when they first started checking on town hall meetings for this and stuff too, you know, that I always thought that taking the center divider out and having your turn lanes there into businesses like they have on Minnesota and 41st in Sioux Falls, but and brought up that most of your accidents happened at controlled intersections, you know, your stoplights anyways, and didn't have an answer for that either. But, this is a nice design. I do like the flow of it. Nice to get the lights down the center. You're gonna have wider sidewalks, you know, people are walking and biking a lot more, gets them off of the highways. So. Anybody else?
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Action on hearing. Here's okay. All right. Thank you. On to a public hearing on residential property tax abatement, KJSM Investments. Motion to open hearing.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing is open.
Exhibit 1A is a copy of the City of Worthington Residential Property Tax Abatement Program application submitted by KJSM Investments. The applicant is seeking approval of a tax abatement for construction of a 2-unit condominium on Cherrywood Lane. Staff has reviewed the application and concluded that it meets all parameters of the program guidelines. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the application. To comply with state statutes regarding tax abatement, a public hearing was scheduled for tonight to allow for public comment on the proposed abatement. Should council concur with staff's recommendation, it may do so by adopting the resolution that was provided in Exhibit 1B after completion of the public hearing.
Okay. Any testimony? Questions?
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. On to public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve the property tax abatement.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, on to public hearing on commercial property tax abatement, NTRA Properties LLC.
Move to open public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
NTRA Properties has submitted a tax abatement request pursuant to Minnesota Statute 469.1813 and 116J.993 through 116J.995. The request is to abate taxes for a period of 5 years in accordance with the city's commercial and industrial tax abatement program. The applicant plans to construct an approximately 26,000 square foot retail showroom and shop facility. Subject property is legally described below. Subject property is located on Bioscience Drive on the west side of Highway 59. Staff has reviewed the request and concluded that it meets all the parameters of the guidelines, which were included in Exhibit 2A. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the application. To comply with state statutes regarding tax abatement, a public hearing was scheduled for tonight to allow for public comment on the proposed abatement. Should council concur with staff's recommendation, it will do so by adopting the resolution that was included as Exhibit 2B after the completion of the public hearing, and authorize staff to enter into a development agreement with the applicant.
Okay, do we have any testimonies? Questions, comments?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Move to adopt proposed Exhibit 2B.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. On to consent agendas. We've got City Council meeting minutes, of July 22nd, 2024. Minutes from boards and commissions, Water and Light Commission meeting minutes of August 5th, 2024. Planning Commission meeting minutes of August 6th and July 2nd of 2024. Council business, we got applications for temporary on-sale liquor license for St. Mary's School, application for exemption from lawful gambling permit, St. Mary's Church, application for parade permit to block streets, King Turkey Day Inc., application for temporary on-sale liquor license, King Turkey Day Inc., financial statements, municipal liquor store income statement for the period of January 1st, 2024 through July 31st, 2024, Wilson Park statement of revenue and expenditures, budget and actual for the period of January 1st, 2024 through July 31st, 2024, Fieldhouse statement of revenue and expenditures, budget and actual for the period of January 1st, 2024 through July 31st, 2024, and bills payable.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. On to City Council administration.
This is a resolution approving the final layout for State Project 5304-41 on Trunk Highway 59. Commissioner of Transportation has prepared the final layout for State Project 5304-41 on Truck Highway 59 from half mile north of Interstate 90 to Trunk Highway 60 within the corporate limits of Worthington for roadway infrastructure improvements. Council is requested to approve the resolution that's shown as Exhibit 5 for layout in conformance with Minnesota statutes 161.162 to 161.167, State Project 5304-41, Trunk Highway 59.
Questions? Motion?
Second.
We have a motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. City Council business on public safety.
Thanks, Peter.
Council. I'd like to take a moment here to introduce A, who recently joined our team at the Worthington Police Department. Sa was born in Burma. His family fled Burma due to civil unrest and spent 8 years in a refugee camp in Thailand. The family was able to leave the camp as a result of a United Nations program and moved to the United States. Sa and his family eventually settled in Marshall, Minnesota, where he graduated from Marshall High School in 2020. After high school, he joined the National Guard and later attended and graduated from Minnesota West in 2023 with a degree in law enforcement. Sa started with WPD in February and is currently working full-time shifts for the department. Sa is another great example of the American dream, and we are grateful to have him as part of our team. Tonight, Officer A will take his officer oath and will be officially welcome to the Worthington Police Department.
Go around.
I, Sa A,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Minnesota,
and the state of Minnesota,
and faithfully
and faithfully,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties of a police officer
discharge of the duty of the police officer
with the police department
with the police department
and from the city of Worthington
and for the city of Worthington
during the continuance of employment.
during my continued employment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
No.
Troy.
Let's get a picture of it.
That makes your feet a little shorter. Your family?
Yeah.
Get one here, and then we'll get a thing.
Okay.
Got the family?
Parents come up.
Don't, not too shy.
Only happens once.
Yep. Any family want to take a picture with him? Yep.
Hi.
Squeeze in.
Squeeze in. Yep.
Nobody will bite.
We have one.
Troy.
Oh, you said we got another one.
On to acceptance of some program funds, donations.
New City Buffet, Wang Incorporated generously donated $500 to the Wellington Police Department to benefit public safety programs. Contribution to be utilized as part of a future public safety equipment purchase. Council action is requested to adopt a resolution shown in Exhibit 1, accepting the $500 donation.
Move to accept with thanks.
Second.
Motion and seconded, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
In another acceptance of program funds donation, Rodney Coleman generously donated $500 to the Worthington Police Department to benefit the Public Safety K-9 program. Contribution to be utilized as part of a future K-9 program equipment purchase. Council action is requested to adopt a resolution shown in Exhibit 2, accepting the $500 donation.
Move to approve.
Motion and seconded, any further discussion?
With thanks.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Thank you.
Very good. Business and businesses, sure. Okay, council business engineering.
Good evening. The vote task order number 30 with Bolton and Mink is to provide design services for sanitary sewer and trunk water main along Oxford Street and across Humiston Avenue on Trunk Highway 59. Turnback of Trunk Highway 59, Humiston Avenue and Oxford Street will take place after the reconstruction of the highway. The existing sanitary sewer system and water main serving Oxford Street, along with a water main crossing on Humiston Avenue, have reached their design life, need to be replaced as part of the reconstruction project. Public Utilities has budgeted for the work to be done as part of the highway construction project being done by the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Combining the utility work with the highway reconstruction will save money by eliminating pavement removal and replacement, since this will be done as part of the street reconstruction. Task order number 30, which is exhibit number 1, provides for engineering services to design the new sewer, water mains, and connecting services. The task order is not to exceed $150,000 without prior approval from the council. The construction work will be included in the Trunk Highway 59 reconstruction contract to be done in 2017 and 2018.
Would it be 7 and 28?
Yes, it would be. Thank you very much. And the staff recommends the approval of task order number 30. One of the things we're looking at is Bolton and Mink is working with the design consultants for the Trunk Highway 59 project. They're one of the consultants, so we felt by using Bolton and Mink, they're familiar with our community, and also they are already hired to work with this project, and combining this in part of the plans, it should be seamless with them doing the design for us and working with the consultant already.
I move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and seconded, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On to community development.
Okay, first item of business, as we continue past the public hearings, is PUD Amendment Number 11, Southwest Mental Health Center. Southwest Mental Health Incorporated has applied for an amendment to their planned unit development number 11 to allow for additional signage at their property located at 1210 5th Avenue. If approved, the applicant plans to install a monument sign and a post panel sign. Property is located across from the library at the former Central School site. At its August 6, 2024 meeting, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Their recommendation was based on the following. PUD 11 was adopted by City Council in July of 2012 following the recommendation of Planning Commission. PUD was adopted in order to allow for an office building to be constructed to serve the needs of the nonprofit alongside a residential treatment facility. Subject property was previously zoned R4 medium density residential, which did not allow for office services. By establishing the PUD, it allowed for an office services, but otherwise maintained the requirements of the R4 district. A copy of the PUD was included as an exhibit in your packet. The intent of this PUD was to allow for an office building while maintaining harmony with surrounding residential uses particularly in the event that a different use is ever proposed for the property sometime in the future. So the owner of the property is rebranding and seeking to construct new signs on the property. The PUD does not include any specific provisions regarding signage and generally points to any non-specified requirements back to the R4. However, this is not explicitly stated. For signage, the main requirements for R4 are specified as follows and quite restrictive. Based on the above, the proposed signs would fail to meet the R4 requirements for signage. The PUD, however, does not explicitly state that the site is subject to those requirements. Applying those same signage requirements as the B2 or B3 district to this site would allow for a significant amount of signage on the property and would not meet the intent of the PUD. A rendering was included of the proposed signage in Exhibit 3C. One sign replaces the current building sign and the other two are for new signs. In total, the proposed square footage is just under 138 square feet. Note that in one of those renderings, the location shown will be changing as the rendering showed it within the right-of-way, which is not permitted. Staff proposes the following language be added to the PUD. Under signage, a maximum of 150 square feet of total sign area shall be permitted. Signs located in the required front yard setback shall not exceed 8 feet. Freestanding signs located outside of the required front yard setback shall not exceed 8.5 feet in height. Illuminated signs shall be permitted. The proposed language allows for the signage the applicant is proposing, along with room for adjustment. Staff believes this would not have any negative impact on the surrounding areas. With any land use request, it is important to consider the surrounding zoning and land uses to ensure the request will be compatible with the surrounding areas. All of the surrounding areas on all four sides are currently zoned R4 medium density residential. City's 2004 comprehensive plan identifies this property as downtown mixed use. While this again does not address signage, it does indicate this area is suitable for mix of land uses. Should council concur with the findings of the Planning Commission and may approve the request change the zone by passing the ordinance that's shown in Exhibit 3F. Any council member voting against the approval must state for the record their reason for denial. This ordinance requires only one reading to pass. Council action is requested.
Yes, Amy?
I see that one of the signs looks like it could be illuminated or it's an LED.
Internal illumination, there's no flashing message sign.
It's not like that super bright,
No, that was,
because that would not be appropriate in that area.
right, correct, in a residential area.
Right.
The information they presented was that it would be internal and essentially back, yes, and like a soft glow at night.
Anyone else have anything?
And again, point out, this is just a one reading ordinance adoption.
Move to adopt amendment.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Next item is PUD amendment number 14. This is Glenwood Heights second and third editions. City of Worthington is considering an amendment to a plan unit development number 14 to remove the minimum roof requirements, including pitch. If approved, roof pitches less than 612 may be allowed, as well as alternative roofing materials. The legal description of the property includes Glenwood Heights second and third editions. At its August 6, 2024 meeting, the Planning Commission voted 4-2 in favor to recommend approval of the request. Two letters, which were shown in Exhibits 4A and 4B, were submitted prior to the meeting. No other input was given during the public hearing, and we did receive a updated letter from one of the residents out in the Glenwood Heights First Edition that arrived this afternoon. And you were all given copies at the, here at the meeting. The Commission's recommendation was based on the following. On June 14, 2021, upon recommendation of the Planning Commission, City Council passed an ordinance to rezone Glenwood Heights Second Edition from R1 and R2 to Planned Unit Development District 14. This area was later platted again to include Glenwood Heights Third Edition. PUD 14 was structured to follow many of the same covenants that Glenwood Heights First Edition is subject to. That's the existing neighborhood. These covenants in the First Edition are not controlled or enforced or monitored by the city, and the adoption of a similar PUD was in response to requests from the residents of the existing neighborhood. A copy of PUD 14 was included in Exhibit 4C, and the subject area is depicted in Exhibit 4D. Includes a provision about roofs, which reads as follows. All roof pitches shall be 612 or greater. Shingles to a minimum of 235 pounds, no lock tabs. City received a request to construct a home that would not meet the minimum roof pitch requirements. Staff brought this request to Glenwood Heights Housing Committee. This group consists of City Council and Water and Light Commission representatives, which are the two entities that funded the construction of Glenwood Heights. The committee was in favor of pursuing the amendment to remove the roof requirements from the PUD. The proposed change would eliminate the portion of the PUD that states all roof pitch shall be 612 or greater, and regarding the 235 pound shingles. City Code 155.188 states, Planned Unit Development provisions are intended to encourage more efficient use of land and public services and greater amenity by allowing, under certain circumstances, a more flexible means of land development and redevelopment than is otherwise permissible under the lot-by-lot restrictions in each district. Section 155.188 B5 lays out the objectives that should be sought when creating a PUD, including a maximum choice of living environment by allowing a variety of housing and building types and permitting an increased density per acre and a reduction in lot dimensions, yards, building setbacks, and area requirements. Council should consider whether roof pitch and shingle type requirements are necessary requirements to be included with the PUD, and whether the requirements is in the best interest of the city and the purpose of a planned unit development. Should council concur with the findings of the Planning Commission, it may approve the request change of zone by passing a first reading of the ordinance that's shown in Exhibit 4E. Any council member voting against the approval must state for the record their reason for denial. This ordinance requires 3 readings to pass. Council action is requested.
Comments, questions?
On the covenant, Glenwood Heights, First Edition, does that prevail on the Second and Third Edition too?
No, those covenants do not
So it
prevail.
has nothing to do with
No.
the First Edition? And I'm not familiar with what, 612 pitch,
That's
is the
angle. Yeah.
And we know what the new house's pitch is?
Well, they have not actually submitted plans. It would be what they have described is a contemporary home that would have lower pitch roofs.
Chad, question?
The letters that you see in our packet and the one we received, I did speak to both of those parties on the phone. I spoke to Lyle, and I see Lyle and Deborah here, and I did speak to Dennis, and he did state that he was going to be out of town for this to talk to them. I did try to make contact with the builder also just to discuss this, And basically, the statement was in a contemporary modern style home, that's the type of, whether it's a Craftsman or a Cape Cod or a Tudor, you know, all of the different building design things. What they stated was that it just doesn't meet the pitch roof. But by no means is this a house of any sort that's lowering any property value areas or things of that nature. So then I did seek out examples. These are not houses, this isn't the plan or anything like that. But for example, and this is a modern style house, contemporary house, very nice, that just doesn't have the gable or hip style roof. Another one, a little more one level, that are out there, that are very beautiful homes that meet a design standard of, we're not lowering values of anything that were to be built around it or do anything. Basically just a different style. And that was what the construction style is just different than what probably we're used to here, but by no means a degrading of any property values. And that, this house, from what I'm told, is going to be a very nice home, size-wise, value-wise, construction cost-wise, and what it is. So with that, I understand it isn't uniform in the look, but you can drive many places and see not so much cookie cutter neighborhoods anymore where everything looks the same, but at least meets the standard of value of what it brings to the house. And I think that's kind of where we're at in this, of it doesn't meet the same style, but definitely meets the same construction value and standard of the homes that are out there, and of new construction homes that we hope to see built and continue to be built out there in the addition.
What were some of the other concerns from or were there any other concerns from the housing committee that met regarding this? When this was brought up?
Planning and zoning?
No, the
Oh,
housing.
housing committee, there was
We
a,
met as a housing,
Yeah.
we talked about that, what he talked about. There wasn't really a lot more concerns. We talked a little bit about somebody bought two parcels, we would make it into one so they couldn't sell off, like just a garage. But as far as house, like roofing,
or material wise, anything in that regard?
just that if you have a house and a garage, they have to be the same material.
Yeah, we kept in, the things that would prevent anything not stick built on the site, and that from being brought in, doing those sorts of things. But as you look at designs and, if you're a fan of HGTV, things of that nature, there's a lot more of the modern style homes being built clean, straight lines, things of that nature, opposed to what we would have here in the upper Midwest, more traditional gable hips, style homes like that. So, I suppose it wouldn't be a ton different if you went to, certain areas of the nation and put a ranch house up.
Right.
You'd be different.
Yeah.
But I don't know that in any standard, what we've been told here, that this home would degrade in any structural value or property value to provide any sort of damage or that to the value of the homes currently in the Glenwood Heights area or future homes to come to it.
Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have, within the city limits, we don't have any other residential areas that are required to meet these standards of.
That is correct. That's correct.
Yeah. And I will point out that the planning commission that initially, and then it came before the council, I believe, but 3 years ago when it was initially approved, most of the planning commission was, actually, when I look back, was the same planning commission at that time. There's a couple new ones, but the majority of the planning commission that sat at that time also sits currently. And as you can tell, the vote was 4-2.
I did take the time to meet with some of the members to hear their input and thoughts on that as well. And it was much the same. That as long as the value wasn't looked at being a downfall for the neighborhood, that they understood this, and that designs at times change and looks are different. And heck, you drive around now and you see black houses with wood stain, accents, and you're like, who would have ever thought of that before?
Ellen Seasmith's got a different looking house around the lake too, that they might have a pitched roof, but it looks
Yeah,
like
we have a few different that would meet what I would call a modern style in standard, but not necessarily anything that's below property value standards of what they might be next to or surrounded by.
I think for visual frame of reference, the one house in Worthington that is clearly contemporary is the Lyle and Connie Voss home, which was the Vance home.
Next.
next to
Seasmith's next to it. Vance has built that in the 70s, I guess.
ahead of this time. Any other comments? Motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and seconded for the first reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. On to committee reports. I have nothing. There is missing Amy.
No report.
Chris.
No report.
Dennis. No report. Chad.
We met as the Joint Public Transit Board a week ago, and we have 2 new buses that are not yet into service that were part of the grant that took 7 years or whatever as it seems like to get, what was that?
19 and 20, I think.
Yeah.
2019, 20.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 and 5 years before they were received and now being put through all the checkpoints, lettered, done all that, safety standards all upheld on them and put into transit. So those now are going to happen. What that still does though is still leave some that are proposed out there, who knows, 2-3 years from now, before they'll even be received, but hopefully those things are catching up in speed. The other big thing that we have discussed for a couple of meetings now is what to do with the current city bus route, which the majority of us on the board, the joint board, really frankly see as a waste of funds. Because it is not getting used even remotely close to what the Dial-A-Ride is doing. It comes from a separate funding pool. Chris has been doing a lot of research with the DOT in the funding sources of it, and we have more information to bring back now as to what would be, penalty is the wrong term,
Reduction in funding.
what would be the alteration in funding, not necessarily even reduction altogether, but the change in funding for us to alter those funds to be used in a much better source to provide public transit to people needing a ride in a much more available source, opposed to what we have found to be not used really at all. We had months where less than 40 rides were provided in an entire month. And what we don't see on that is that very well could have been one person or two people the entire month riding multiple days. Less than 40. Where if you take a look at the Dial-A-Ride program, 45 times the amount of use. 45 times the amount of use by the Dial-A-Ride program. And why wouldn't we want to put another bus into that system to be used as our look and thought on that? That would provide so much more availability, quicker routes, quicker access time, shorter wait periods, that by having another one in the system to go and bring people to where they need to go. I get the concept of be here at this time on this day, and then it will bring you to a destination, whether that's a clinic or the grocery store or the government center or something of that nature from where you're at. But if you can pick up the phone and call, and we're talking like anywhere from $1 to $1.50 difference, and you can go when you are available to go, when you need to go, or when you want to go, is that better use than having a bus that shows up at the same spot at different times of the day and is not being used? So a little bit of work to do there.
How do they get dispatched out?
Same place. Same place.
Southwest Opportunity?
Yep.
Can you just transfer that bus into
That's what we
That's what
want
we're
to do.
working on, yep.
And that's what we're working on. You just have to go through the hoops because the red tape of funding of programs and funds that have been allocated for this one or that one. But if we can simply just show the numbers that 2,500 times the Dial-A-Ride is being used in a month opposed to 40 times for this bus route, that bus could have how many people on it going to different places in a route with the pickup of a phone to dispatch anytime, opposed to following the same pattern and just not getting used. So,
Is it daytime hours?
yep, it's daytime hours. So, needless to say, there's a little bit of frustration and a little bit of struggles in going through that and looking at that and knowing that we could better serve those without transportation, a way to get around town to the things they need by utilizing the dollars much more efficiently and better. So, and that's the only meeting I had so far.
Thanks, Chad. Steve?
Just a update here. Tammy Mackerman, member of the auditorium, invited council to a special screening of a documentary about Brûlé, Paul Summers LaRoche, that is finished. She invited council to come over to the auditorium following the next city council meeting, or she would do it here, but she thought ambiance at the auditorium would be.
We might be able to get popcorn here.
I think she said that she was gonna have some popcorn. So you can keep that in mind for 2 weeks. She would, I think they had a lot of work involved with putting that, assisting with that documentary. So you can, we'll visit that as time draws near. That's all I have to report.
Motion adjourned.
Move to her.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.